What is going on, guys? DBG here, and this video, it was a video I was going to make last night, but obviously I finished up at like 2 a.m. yesterday, and I wasn't gonna upload it at 4 a.m. So this is just a video talking about these new packs, talking about just the new cards and how they've completely just changed the MyTEAM meta. And not only have they changed it, they've changed it until the end of the game. So, actually, both gens. I was about to say especially on next gen, because of the whole taller players moving faster. Because on current gen, any player that's above like 6'8" gets a stutter run. Means they don't run at full speed. Tall players just, they can't run in game. Which is actually something I like, but the speed burst kind of like counters out of that. But I will talk about that a little bit later, because I'm going to be making a video talking about speed in NBA 2K. So, what packs came out yesterday for you guys, if you guys are wondering? The packs that came out yesterday were the out of position 2 packs. And these guys here, what the hell is this Simmons doing at 17k? He's not good. But these guys were interesting. First of all, I'd actually like this card. Like, not at center, but at power forward. Yeah, power forwards are undersized, but I still think you see enough Christian Woods out in the wild that LUKA's fine. Like, yeah, he might struggle if you are coming up against a Bol, but if you're coming up against like a Christian Wood or a Bill Russell, he's fine. He does a job. He's gonna probably lose a little bit, but look, he can get away with that. And then we got the giant point guards. So obviously you've got Boris DIAW, who even stats-wise is incredible. Like, look at a 93 3-ball. Yeah, his passing IQ is low. That stat doesn't matter. You're the one who's making the pass. Really solid defensive stats. 6'8" with 93 lateral quickness. Like, that is insane. And then you look obviously at these three. I'm gonna say this right now. I don't think LeBron. I don't think Giannis. Why is Giannis 1.5 million? I get it, he's good. But like, he's like, it's 50-50 whether he's better than Ben. Like, it's preference. What is he doing? Like, are you gonna say, is he gonna be a million now? Okay, Big O is by far the cheapest of all of the Invincible players anyway. He's not that expensive at all. But yeah, so basically we got 3 really tall good point guards like Boogie. I mean, Boogie's not that relevant, is he? Josh Smith is really, really good. He's around 67. That's probably about the price that he should be at. And Larry Bird. Man, Larry's a steal. If you're on next gen, Larry's a steal. But what has this done? It has basically made smaller point guards. I'm not going to say worthless, because people are going to argue in the comment section that, like, oh, I use Derrick Rose and I still have a lot of success. I use Ja Morant. And that's fine. Like, all these cards outside of Muggsy Bogues, because he's 5'3", that's unusable height. But if you're looking even like an Enshrined set, you can still cook with this T-Mac. Like, I was 50-50 on putting TRACY McGrady in my squad to 2 because I like his release. You can still get away with this Michael Jordan. If you look at fan favorites, you can still use Robert Covington and have a lot of success. Well, to be fair, he's new. But it doesn't mean that because a card isn't an incredible card doesn't mean you can have success with it. Like, you can have success with basically every card, because every card that's released right now pretty much has got all the key badges in Hall of Fame. Even the amethysts. Like, even the amethysts, you look at out of position. Boris DIAW's got every key badge in Hall of Fame. He's got 28 hops, all the key ones. And 41 golds. He's got 69 total badges. 69. And he's like 1k MT, 2k MT. It's ridiculous. So, you can have success with smaller point guards. That's fine. But I mean, you're putting yourself at a disadvantage. You really are. You really are. Like, for me even, I've noticed it when I'm running my squad. So, like, I'm playing Unlimited. I am 6-1 right now in Unlimited. The one game I lost was against, man, I think was it Ben Simmons? He had Larry Johnson. He had Simmons. No, he didn't. He had LeBron starting. He had Simmons off the bench at point guard. he had Giannis at the 2. I think he had Bill Russell at the 4. Kristaps the 5, and his bench was like Bol, Wiseman. Man, his bench is ridiculous. But like, even using a 6'6" point guard, they feel small. Because I'm coming up against, I think the one game that I haven't come up against a 6'9", 6'8" or taller point guard, I was 20 points up in the first quarter and it was quick. Every game you're going to come up pretty much against. If you're coming up against a budget guy, they're running Batum. If you're on current gen, you're going to come up against a lot of Josh Smiths. Mid-tier guys have him. You're coming up against Larry Birds quite a lot on next gen. Then Boris DIAW, if you're looking at the budgets. So like for complete budget guys, and I'm not saying that this is a bad thing. I think it's a really good thing because, well, not all change means that it's bad. Because one of the problems was last year especially, was that they released all these really tall point guards, but there was no alternatives. It was why people were, including myself, were using Bonga until the end of the year. Like when I was making budgets, anytime I made like a less than 70k squad, it had to have Bonga. Because there were so many tall point guards that you basically had to use Bonga. Whereas this year, you have so many alternatives. There are so many good tall point guards. But what that means is that, like, for example, Boris DIAW, in my opinion, is equally as effective as Jamorant in game. For budget guys. I think Batum's significantly better than Jamorant. So, and Vlade Divac, I think he's a meme card. He's okay, but he's a meme card more than anything. It's hard to compare him to the great cards in this game. But basically, what it's done is completely changed the meta. Because if you're just starting out the game, if you want to compete in my team, maybe if you're in the low skill level SPMM bracket, you can get away with starting off with smaller point guards. But you're going to put yourself at disadvantage if you're just starting out the game and you're not using DIAW. If you're a mid-tier level player to a high-tier level player, you're going to put yourself at a disadvantage by not using Batum. Like, I feel the gap between Batum and even a Tyreek Evans is huge, and I love Tyreek Evans. I think being 6'9" to 6'6" is such a big difference. And then if you are, like, again, mid-tier level, your squad is around that million MT. Like Josh Smith, Larry Bird, Batum, you realistically need to run two of those three, depending on your system. Fair enough, you want to use Josh Smith and I don't know, if you want to use like a Grant Hill or something, but Grant Hill's just kind of too expensive. And at the top tier, and the reason is that if you come up against, for example, LeBron, Giannis, you know what, I'm going to say current gen if you come up against Boogie, because Boogie's a demon on current gen. If you come up against Giannis on either gen or LeBron on either gen, and you're out here running with a small point guard, you're screwed. And I know you might say, oh, you can switch matchups. But I mean, like, yeah, I run Mikal Bridges, but what happens if you come up against LeBron at the 1 and Giannis at the 2 like I came up against? The only reason I was competitive in that game for a half was because Nick Batum could do a bit of a job on them. Like, Tyreek Evans was getting cooked. That's why I had to bring Robert Reed into my team. Because he's 6'8". And I prefer, well, I don't know why I'm having more success with him than Steven Jackson. But, like, at one stage, I was running with Tyreek Evans the 1 and, like, Manu Ginobili at the 2. Offensively, that worked fine. But defensively, man, I was getting cooked. So, like, height is becoming such a big factor. Like, it's going to get to the stage where, like, Bill Russell's a bit different because he's got Ray Allen base. But, like, you basically, if Bill Russell didn't have such good rebounding and strength, it would be very, very tough to compete with James Wiseman at the 4 with a 6'10". Like, it's very tough to compete against James Wiseman at the 4, Christian Wood, for example, because he doesn't have the stats and he doesn't have the player build of Bill Russell. But, like, Bol, Kristaps at the 4 or 5, like, you're not competing with that at 6'10". You're really not competing with that at 6'10" at all. So it's gotten to the stage now in my team where you really need those tall players. And if you are watching this video, and again, you're making the argument that you're winning every single game with small point guards and you don't need to change, that is fair play. Fair play to you. If you're there cooking with Hal Greer's of the world, then fair play to you. You're a better man than I am. But again, like, it's a situation. I've had five straight rage quits playing in Unlimited. Like, as much as you guys want to laugh about it, like, I'm pretty good at this game. And I'm struggling with 6'6" point guards. So I know if I'm struggling with them, the vast majority of people are going to be like that as well. So this is basically just a video explaining what has happened with these packs. I'm not even complaining about it. What I would have complained about, if, for example, they released these 3 top guys here, and they didn't release, and then they released these 3 top guys, and then, I don't know, Boris DIAW, and they didn't release Batum, Bird, or Josh Smith. Then you can make the argument that 2K have just released three pay-to-win cards and not giving budget players an option, unless they're using like a Tyreek Evans. But I do actually like, because they've given, you have an option. You have alternatives. Like, if you're a budget player, you can get budget alternatives to all of these top guys. You can tactically downgrade them all, and they're really, like, the gap between Batum and LeBron, Giannis, and Muggsy is not that big. It's really not. In a competitive sense, maybe it is big, but like in a unlimited sense, it's not. Like, the gap between these guys and Batum is the same as the gap between Batum and Tyreek Evans. Like, it's really, and like, it's not big at all. So 2K have put out massive, and the gap between these 2 guys is the same gap as Batum and Boris DIAW. But like, 2K have put in budget alternatives, which means that everyone can play the tall player meta. The problem is, if you don't want to play a tall player meta, you either gotta be extremely skilled, or you might as well put yourself at a 10 player or a 10 point disadvantage going into every game. So yeah, that is pretty much it, lads. If the burst wasn't a thing on next gen, and because smaller players move faster on next gen because of the stutter run, and that is actually something that 2K have done, or sorry, on current gen, 2K have done well. But as we will show later, on next gen, speed is just, it's a joke. It is a joke how much faster tall players are than small players. But yeah, that is pretty much it. That's the video. Just a little bit of just talk about how they have completely changed. It's just completely changed the game in the last day. Do I have a problem with what's happened? Not at all. Not at all. Like, look, I'll adapt to the meta. I wish I didn't have to. But at the end of the day, the meta changes in every game. It always does in my team. The meta has always changed. And at least the tall point guard era is the end of the year and not day one like 2K19. Because, man, Andrei Kirilenko point guard day one. I was using this free pre-ordered Giannis day one in 2K19. You better believe back in those days, we were all using point guards from launch, tall point guards from launch. But anyway, yeah, that is pretty much it, lads. That is a video. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.